Alright guys, I'm back home and I just want to do a quick off-the-cuff kind of video pertaining to a certain article of news. So that article of news is that they're going to do a movie, a feature film, about the January 6th insurrection. It's not really an insurrection, but people call it the insurrection. People call it a coup. It's not really a coup. It was just overall a clown show. I don't know what to call it, but it's definitely not an insurrection. Whatever. January 6th we'll call it. So they're doing a movie about January 6th, and the person who is penning the script and probably is going to end up directing it is a gentleman by the name of Adam McKay, and the name Adam McKay might be familiar to some people. He recently directed Don't Look Up, which is getting a lot of buzz. It's actually a pretty popular movie in my circle of friends. I don't know how much of it is popular, like world spread, but anecdotally it's pretty popular in my circle of friends. He also directed Vice and The Big Short. If you saw my review of Don't Look Up, I was really into The Big Short. I was kind of into Vice. I was like, yeah, it's good, it's good. Mostly because of Christian Bale's performance, albeit. And then Don't Look Up, I was like, what was that? A bit. And obviously he directed Talladega Nights and Step Brothers and all of these classic Will Ferrell movies, which you know what, at the time I thought they were silly and goofy and I kind of like shrugged them off, but in a time where that kind of comedy is lacking, I find myself oddly nostalgic for those kind of movies. But anyway, he's making a movie about January 6th. Do I think it's gonna work? Well, any story can work for a film, obviously. We've seen movies about, like, dumb shit actually become good. So I think any story has potential for greatness. The problem is that this seems like a bit of a topical hype pick. I remember when the Wall Street bet thing happened and the whole stonks thing. They were gonna do a movie about the guy who organized the Wall Street bets. And yeah, they're gonna turn that into a movie. And yeah, I think it had the writer of Aaron Sorkin attached to it. I'm not sure. Someone involved with the Social Network was going to be behind it. So yeah, they tried to bank on that hype. The problem is a feature film takes a very long time to make. So by the time it comes out, it's probably not going to be popular anymore. An example of that is when Tiger King was blowing up, it was announced that they were going to do a movie with Nicolas Cage where Nicolas Cage was going to play Joe Exotic. And that never really happened, right? It got canceled. For obvious reasons. The Tiger King hype kind of died down. They released that special in between the two seasons. Then they released season 2 and no one is really talking about season 2. Because Tiger King is one of those things that's lightning in a bottle. Anyway, do I think this movie is going to get made? With a name like Adam McKay, he can basically do whatever the fuck he wants at this point. Because Vice, critical darling. Big Short, critical darling, and Don't Look Up, despite not being a critical darling, it's definitely one of the most watched things on Netflix. Of all time, probably. So I think he's got the world by the ball sack at this point. He can do whatever he wants. If he feels like the script for this January 6th movie works, he's gonna do it. Here's the problem I have with it. When it comes to some things, big events I'm talking about, you kind of have to let it sit with some people. The way we're looking at January 6th right now might be different from the way we're talking about it in 10 years. For example, when we think of a tragic event like the Vietnam War, well, had you made a Vietnam War during the Vietnam War, it would have been a little different than something like Apocalypse Now, which came out a few years after the Vietnam War. And I feel like the insurrection is still a little fresh in people's memories. And it was such like a weird event as well that people don't know how to process it. And you kind of just need some time to go by so that historians can kind of like see what's going on here. It was a very weird event. And I don't know how they're going to tackle this movie. I don't even know how you tackle a movie about this subject matter. It's basically just a bunch of people on 4chan getting together and raiding the White House. I don't know. It could be funny. The first thing that came to mind when I heard about this movie was Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon, when the insurrection happened, he did this sketch on his YouTube channel where he was basically the Viking guy, and the Viking guy was kind of just like this normal dude who's kind of just having a meltdown. He was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm kind of having an identity crisis. I'll put up the clip on this video.
We met a lot of them on 4chan. Sometimes I'm sad, and I feel like there's not a space for men to share their feelings in this country, and I think that's tragic. I'm willing to learn and grow. I've been reading a lot of tweets about my behavior that are making a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, so if they go for something like that, where it's kind of like the mundane contrasted with the weird events of January 6th, I feel like that can kind of work. Maybe if you have like an office-style comedy, and it's about all of these weird characters coming together, and they're trying to plan this insurrection, and like, okay, what's on the agenda today? Everyone take a seat, take a seat. Viking dude, can you take a seat, please? If it's kind of like that, I can see it working. That's the angle I'm kind of seeing in my brain. If someone told me to make a movie about January 6th, that's the way I would go with it. But Don't Look Up was a little preachy, and I don't think they're gonna go a tongue-in-cheek kind of angle. I think they're gonna be a look how wacky and crazy these people are, which anyone who saw the January 6th events, regardless of their political affiliation, knows that the people involved in that were kind of stupid. Like, yeah, duh. I don't know. It's not like anyone was like, whoa, Viking dude! He's a philosopher of all ages! I don't know. It kind of just feels like they're building on the hype of January 6th. We just had the 1 year anniversary of January 6th, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's a trendy topic. But ultimately, I'd be surprised if this script kind of comes to fruition in the first place, and if it does, it might become just what I would think is a preachy mess. That's just me, though. Tell me what you guys think. Do you want to see a movie about the January 6th insurrection? Comment below. Let me know. Actually, before I go, just one last thing. The conclusion that people draw from that January 6th event is kind of different. I just want to talk about the personal conclusion that I draw. When I watch every American election, and I've been in America for this last election, so I was kind of in the belly of the beast for it. It's almost like a pendulum that keeps swinging further and further, and it's kind of this giant Jenga tower that's just waiting to fall. I remember when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump when his first election came around. I feel like the whole Russiagate thing was kind of just... It was basically just blown out of proportion. And then when this January 6th incident happened, it's basically the same reaction coming from the other side. Also blowing it out of proportion, but to a much bigger extent. And I feel like if the movie kind of has that theme of this, basically this tower that's constantly shifting one side, and it goes further and is closer to tipping each side it goes, I feel like that would be an interesting angle. I don't know how you turn that to a movie, though. But that's just what I draw as a conclusion from that event. And obviously different people draw different conclusions from the event, which is why I think a January 6th movie right now would kind of be a little, it would be a little hot water. Because I remember when Kamala Harris recently compared January 6th to 9/11, she got a lot of pushback for that. Because it's not 9/11, but to some it was 9/11, and to me I kind of drew a different conclusion. And to other people, they're probably getting something completely different out of that event altogether. So yeah, you might be kind of like entering dangerous territory if you make a January 6th movie. That said, I'm all for entering dangerous territory. Danger is my middle name.